One of the most frustrating parts of chronic illness is realizing that your body can no longer get away with the things it used to. A late night affects you for days. A skipped meal turns into shakiness, exhaustion, or anxiety. One stressful appointment or conversation seems to throw off your entire rhythm. Small disruptions suddenly create surprisingly large consequences. If you've noticed that your body feels increasingly sensitive, this episode will help you why. Today we're going to explore what these changes reveal and how simple anchors like light, meals, sleep, and rest can help create more stability in a body that feels increasingly vulnerable to chaos. Welcome back to Renegade Remission, where I share stories and strategies to help you heal faster, feel better, and live longer, regardless of your diagnosis or prognosis. We often focus on the content of healing. The foods we eat, the supplements we take, the therapies we pursue, and treatments we choose, those things matter. But underneath them is something more fundamental. Your body is rhythmic by design. Hormones rise and fall according to schedules. Digestion follows predictable cycles. Immune activity changes across the day and night. Blood sugar regulation shifts depending on the time of day. Melatonin rises when the brain senses darkness. Cortisol is designed to rise in the morning and gradually decline as the day progresses. Even individual cells contain internal clocks that help coordinate metabolism, repair, detoxification, and inflammatory signaling. When life becomes highly irregular, the body begins receiving mixed signals about what time it is and what it should be doing. For a healthy body with plenty of reserve, that confusion is manageable. But for a body already dealing with illness, inflammation, fatigue, stress, pain, or the burden of treatment and medications, those mixed signals create a surprisingly large amount of additional strain. And when you provide the body with consistent cues, light, food, sleep, movement, and rest, you help restore a sense of internal order that supports healing. This is because predictable cues reduce the amount of work the body has to do to orient itself. And for someone living with illness, that can be a very real form of support. To fully understand and take advantage of this, there are several things you need to grasp. The first is that your circadian rhythm coordinates your whole body. The circadian rhythm is the body's approximately 24-hour biological timing system. The master clock sits in a region of the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus and is strongly influenced by light. But circadian timing doesn't only exist in the brain. The liver, pancreas, gut, muscles, fat tissue, immune cells, and many other tissues also contain clocks. These clocks help coordinate what the body should prioritize at different times of day. So in the morning, the body prepares for wakefulness, movement, digestion, and energy use. And at night, it shifts towards repair, immune regulation, memory processing, hormone signaling, and sleep. When these clocks are aligned, the body functions more efficiently. But when they become misaligned, whether this is through inconsistent sleep schedules, erratic meal timing, poor light exposure, or irregular activity patterns such as night shift working, the body begins receiving conflicting information about what it should be doing. This matters because healing requires coordination. Your immune system, nervous system, endocrine system, digestive system, and metabolic system do not operate independently. They communicate with each other constantly and work together, and rhythm helps that communication occur more smoothly. Light is one of the most powerful circadian signals the body receives. Morning light tells the brain that the day has begun. It suppresses melatonin, increases alertness, supports cortisol's natural morning rise, and helps establish the timer for melatonin to rise again later that evening. This means that what happens in the first hour of the day can significantly influence what happens 16 hours later when you're trying to sleep. Many people living with illness spend more time indoors. They may wake more slowly, keep the curtains closed, avoid outdoor exposure because of fatigue or heat or cold, or spend much of the day in dim indoor environments. Then the pattern reverses at night. Bright televisions, overhead lighting, phones, tablets, laptops, and late-night scrolling create blue light that mimics morning sunlight and tells the brain that daytime is still happening. This creates a mismatch in which the body feels tired during the day and more alert at night. Melatonin may rise later. Cortisol rhythms become disrupted, and sleep becomes lighter, more fragmented, or more difficult to initiate. Light is information, and it tells the brain what time it is. Many people spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars on supplements to improve sleep, while overlooking one of the strongest sleep signals the brain receives every day: light exposure in the first hour after waking. For a healing body, getting that information at the right time can be surprisingly powerful. The next thing we need to understand is that cortisol is meant to have a rhythm. Cortisol is often discussed as a stress hormone, but it's also one of the body's most important rhythm hormones. In a healthy pattern, cortisol rises in the morning to help you wake up, mobilize energy, and begin the day. It then gradually declines as evening approaches, allowing the body to transition towards rest and sleep. Chronic stress, irregular schedules, inflammation, pain, poor sleep, late-night light exposure, and unpredictable routines can disrupt this rhythm. Many people begin noticing symptoms that seem disconnected on the surface. They feel exhausted in the morning but alert at night. They wake around 3 in the morning with a racing mind. They become shaky if they go too long without eating. They depend on caffeine, sugar, or adrenaline to get through the day. These patterns are not always simply signs of stress. They might reflect a body whose timing symptoms have become disorganized. When daily patterns become more predictable, cortisol often has a better opportunity to return to a healthier pattern. Morning light, regular meals, gentle movement, and reduced evening stimulation all help reinforce the message that there is a beginning, middle, and end to the day. The next thing to understand is that meal timing affects your blood sugar and metabolism. What you eat matters, but when you eat matters too. Metabolism is not identical across the day. Research shows that glucose tolerance, insulin sensitivity, appetite hormones, energy expenditure, and lipid metabolism all follow circadian rhythms. In many people, the body handles glucose more efficiently earlier in the day than later at night. This means that highly erratic eating can place additional stress on an already stressed system. Skipping meals may increase stress hormones and contribute to cravings later in the day. Eating most of your calories late at night conflicts with the body's natural metabolic timing. Grazing constantly reduces opportunities for digestive rest and detoxification. And long gaps without nourishment contribute to blood sugar drops that show up as fatigue, irritability, shakiness, nausea, anxiety, or brain fog. During illness, stable meal timing becomes especially important because it reduces the number of surprises the body must manage. Eating at fairly predictable times helps the digestive system prepare for incoming food. It supports steadier blood sugar and gives the liver, pancreas, gut, and microbiome more consistent signals. What's interesting is that many people blame food quality for symptoms that are partially being driven by food timing. Two identical meals can create very different experiences depending on when they are eating and what the rest of the day looked like. And digestion has a timing system too. Stomach acid production, digestive enzyme secretion, bile flow, gut motility, microbial activity, and intestinal repair all change throughout the day and night. One important rhythm is something called the migrating motor complex. This is a wave-like movement pattern that helps sweep the stomach and small intestine between meals. It acts almost like a housekeeping system, helping clear food residue and bacteria from the upper digestive tract. And the migrating motor complex is most active between meals and overnight. So if someone is eating constantly from morning until bedtime, then that housekeeping process has fewer opportunities to operate. On the other hand, if someone goes excessively long without eating while already depleted, then blood sugar becomes unstable and stress chemistry increases. This is why nutrition comes down more to balance than extreme rules, because you can't be eating constantly or fasting constantly. The goal is to find a rhythm that supports your body. For some people, 3 balanced meals work beautifully. For others who are dealing with maybe cancer treatment, blood sugar instability, nausea, appetite loss, or digestive issues, smaller meals at predictable intervals may be more appropriate. What matters most is that you're consistent, because digestion functions best if the body knows food is coming, has enough parasympathetic support to process it, and is not being asked to digest a large meal while simultaneously preparing for sleep. We also need to understand that immune function is rhythmic. Immune cells, inflammatory signaling, cytokine release, and immune surveillance all shift across day and night. Sleep and circadian rhythm help regulate immune activity, while circadian disruption contributes to inflammatory imbalance. This becomes especially important because many chronic and serious illnesses involve inflammation or immune dysregulation. So if sleep timing, meal timing, light exposure, and stress rhythms are all inconsistent, immune signaling becomes less coordinated. The body doesn't only need immune strength, it needs immune timing. It needs to know when to defend, when to repair, when to clear debris, and when to settle inflammation back down. This is one reason sleep deprivation can sometimes feel like pouring gasoline on inflammation, because the issue isn't just how tired you are. It's that the timing system that helps coordinate repair has lost part of its operating window. During healthy sleep, the body coordinates immune memory, inflammatory resolution, hormonal signaling, and cellular repair. But when sleep becomes fragmented, shortened, or mistimed, those processes become less efficient. This is one reason rhythm matters so much for healing. It creates a more stable environment for the systems responsible for repair. Predictability can be deeply regulating. A consistent wake time, morning light exposure, regular meals, planned recovery periods, and a familiar evening routine all tell the body that there is structure, order, and that it can be safe and regulated. This lowers one category of physiological load, and for a body with limited capacity, that matters. If all of this feels overwhelming, start with morning light. Of all the rhythm signals we've discussed today, morning light is often one of the most powerful because it helps organize many of the others downstream. Better light exposure often supports healthier cortisol timing. Better cortisol timing supports better sleep timing. Better sleep timing supports steadier blood sugar, improved energy regulation, and more predictable recovery. It can help to choose a general wake window that's going to be consistent for you. If sleep is very disrupted for you, start with a gentle wake window and aim to wake within roughly the same 30 to 60 minute window most days. If possible, get outside within the first hour after waking, even if it's only for a few minutes. If that's not possible, sit near a bright, open window. The goal is not perfection. It's giving your brain a clear signal that the day has begun. The next thing you can do is create a predictable first meal. For many people, especially those dealing with fatigue, cravings, anxiety, blood sugar instability, or nausea, eating within a few hours of waking can provide an important stabilizing signal. Ideally, that meal includes protein, healthy fat, fiber, and a carbohydrate you tolerate well. It can also help to create meal rhythm. Whether your body does best with 3 meals, smaller meals, or a different structure entirely, consistency is more valuable than perfection. Protect your evening from becoming a second daytime. Lower light and stimulation roughly an hour before bed. Dim overhead lighting, reduce screen exposure, create a simple sequence that tells your brain sleep is approaching. This might include reading, stretching, prayer, journaling, drinking an herbal tea, doing breath work, or any other calming practice that feels supportive. If you've been enjoying these conversations and you'd like a little more support between episodes, I'd love to invite you to join my email community. That's where I share additional insights, practical tools, reflections on healing, and resources that don't always make it into the podcast. You can join at therenegadenutritionist.com. If today's episode resonated with you, I think you'll find the emails helpful too. As always, thank you for spending this time with me, and until next time, go be renegades.